I have really been looking forward to today's conversation, not just for a couple weeks or a couple months, but honestly for years now. Today we're talking with my friend, Latanya Morrow-Cain, who I affectionately call Tanny. Tanny's from West Philadelphia, born and raised, but now she lives in Delaware, which is actually where I grew up. Tanny and I met in second grade, and then we lost touch. I think Tanny went to a different school in fourth grade, but we lost touch for a few years. And then we ended up in the same performing arts camp in Philadelphia when we were 12. We reconnected, we both figured out we liked to sing, and we were in a singing group together with a few other friends, Nakia, Tasha, and Fia. Hi, ladies, if you're watching or you're listening. We were in a singing group together for years, and it was really just a lot of fun. Then, after high school, we just went our separate ways. We went off to college, we got married, we started our careers, and we started our families. And, life just kind of happens. So, we honestly have not seen each other face to face until this day in probably, 15, 18 years? I don't know. It may have even been longer than that.
Yeah.
And outside of Facebook and the occasional birthday text message and Christmas cards, we really don't have a lot of contact with one another. So I am so excited. This is exactly why we're doing the friendship tour because I get to reconnect with some of my old friends like Tanny. So, hi, Tanny. I'm so excited to see you.
Hi, Cecilia. I am super excited to see you too. I mean, really, like, I think we're both cheesing from ear to ear.
And the funny thing is, we've already had some small talk for like 30
Right.
minutes. We're still very excited to see each other. So, the only thing missing is just a big warm hug. I wish I could reach through the screen and give you a real hug, but yay! But I'm very, very, very happy to see you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I do have to ask you a question. I just mentioned you sing and you act and you're just super, super talented. You're always working on something. Do you have any projects in the works right now?
Well, thank you for that, Cecilia. I have to also say too before I answer that question that I believe that you have been one of the greatest talents that I have ever worked with. Really, we always said that you were our Whitney Houston. Like literally, you are our Whitney Houston. So thank you for that. But I commend being having the opportunity to actually work with you too. So currently, no, I'm not working on anything because I'm in school. I am in my final stages of getting my doctorate. So I'll be finished in June is graduation, but I'll be finish in May when I actually defend
Wow.
my dissertation. So I'm kind of focusing on that right now.
Yes.
But typically, I do like to engage in a theater. There's a local theater here in the town that I'm in, which is in Middletown. And I'm very active with their theater, so I like to do musical theater there in here in Middletown. So that's typically what I try to do. I try to do at least like one production a year. But it's just it takes up too much time. So I haven't decided to do that just yet because of school.
I did not know about the PhD. I'm not
Yes.
surprised, not surprised at all. Your whole family, it's like beauty, brains, talent. It's a lot. It's just all the stuff all wrapped up in one. It's wonderful.
Thank
Um,
you.
you're not the only talented person in your family. Your whole family is crazy talented. And I loved that. That's part of what I loved about coming to your house as a kid. My family, we tend to be more reserved. We're definitely a bit more quiet. We're a smaller family. So I just have one brother. You have these four talented sisters, and there was always something going on in your house, and I loved it. I remember this one time I was spending the night at your house, and this was probably in our singing group days. So I was probably a young teenager.
Right.
I was spending the night at your house. I think Fia was there as well. And your dad, for whatever, like he had made some meal, he cooked something. And we're all like ready to eat. Like, what's for dinner, Mr. Morrow? What's for dinner, Mr. Reg? And I don't remember. I don't remember what was for
Right.
dinner. I just remember he told us we had to sing to get our plate.
That sounds
And
about right. That
and I was like, "Sing to eat? This is crazy." Funny, but a little bit crazy. I mean, I thought we were just gonna do, like, little bit singing. He
right.
pulled out actual microphones and and he meant it. He was like, "If you expect to sing, then or you expect to eat, you're gonna sing us a little something."
That's
And
hilarious.
it was hilarious, and I think of all those moments at your house, and I remember them so, so, so fondly. I love you, and I love your whole family,
Um,
and I think I got over a lot of my fear of, like, being in front of an audience and just being a little more open to trying new things. I think a lot of that had to do with being around you and your family. So
oh,
thank you. Hi,
wow.
Mr. Reggie. Hi, Miss Renee. Hi, Morrow family. I think you're all amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. I don't even remember that, Cecilia. I literally do not remember that, but that does not sound like it's not something that he would not have us do. We still do these games to this day.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you
We
do.
do. I mean, okay, well, who can outsing the next person,
Yeah.
and you can get $1 for the toll or something, something silly like that. So yeah, he plays all these games all the time. But yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's doing really, really well.
Good.
Um,
That makes me so happy. I always felt like I was the sixth sister.
yeah,
And
you are. You have been.
well, and I'm sure you have plenty of friends who feel that way or at least want to be that other sister, but I think that really is just the way your family is. I think you welcome everyone in, and it doesn't matter how many girls there are or women there are, there's
Yeah.
always room. You guys always make us feel like there's room for one more. So, I
Oh,
think that says a lot about your parents too. You're just all loving and warm and welcoming. So,
thank you, Cecilia.
yeah, you guys are great. So let's do the friendship lightning round.
Okay.
Where did we meet?
We met at Christian Academy in Chester, or maybe that might have been Booth Haven or
I don't
Brookhaven.
know.
I think
Yeah.
it might have been Brookhaven, but yes, that's where we met
Mhm.
in second grade. I thought it was first grade, but maybe it was second.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
didn't
first?
go there in first grade.
Oh,
We
okay.
didn't move there until second grade. So you're right, second grade.
Okay.
Second
Yeah.
grade.
So second
And
grade.
how would you Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
How would you say we're similar?
I think we are similar in many ways because of our families. I know that our parents actually built a nice connection because, first off, they shared similarities when it comes to our spirituality, and making sure that we were raised in a spiritual household and with a spiritual upbringing. So I would definitely say that that's probably our number one similarity is the fact that we have been raised to be believers and to know that Christ is the way. So that would probably be one similarity. I also think that, just still going back to our parents, and the fact that we come from a two-parent household, where we were able to see what marriage looks like. We were able to see the ups and the downs of a healthy marriage. And even when things were tough between our parents, we were able to see that you can work that out. And I think that is a testament as to why we both have been married for 20 years now.
I can't believe
20,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like crazy. So I think that the similarities are there as well.
What about our differences? How do you think we're different? I
um
can definitely answer this one if you don't have a ready answer, but
okay, yeah, I want to hear what you think. Yeah.
yeah, I think all you said so far has been 100% true. I think our differences I think you're just a lot more fun. Like, your personal sense of style, I think, again, your family is always doing something wild and fun, and I think that is reflected in your personality. The whole time I've known you, you've always been very clear about education and about family, and You've always been very mature, like very mature, but there's still this fun streak that I can find for short periods of time, but I wouldn't say I'm as creative and as fun as you are. So that's what came to mind when I was thinking about our differences.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, I also think too, maybe just, I think you're a little bit more reserved than I am,
Mhm.
which is kind of similar to what you were just sharing. But maybe just, and I'm actually pretty reserved too.
Mhm.
More reserved out of my sisters. I am
Yes.
probably the more reserved one. And I
That
think
doesn't mean you're reserved, though. If you're the most reserved Morrow, that does not mean you are a reserved person. Let's just put that out there.
that's kind of true. Yes, that's funny. Yes, that's probably true. So yeah, I would probably say yeah, just the being reserved is probably our differences, and maybe taking risk. Just being. I do remember that I would have to kind of push for you to like, come on, let's just do it. So I think just kind of taking a risk and just going out there and just trying it, that probably might be a little bit of our differences too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And you're not the first person who has said, "I'm risk averse." You're the first person who has said it today, but you're not the first person who's told me that.
Right.
Um, so what about your favorite friendship moment? And again, we've known each other since second grade, but is there any one moment that stands out to you from our friendship?
I say every time we stepped on the stage together, I think
Oh.
those were moments
Yeah,
that I will always remember. I mean, honestly, there's so many memories and there's so
yeah,
many moments. I was just thinking about, some of our times together, and before we started recording, when I said I wanted to see your parents, I actually even remember your house, like,
yeah.
just your closet in your room. I remember thinking that you have the coolest room and you have the coolest house. It's so big. And I remember just the closet being able to open. I know it's really, it sounds crazy, but
I'm with
these were
you.
the things that I didn't have, growing up, living in an inner city. And our houses were just not built that way.
Yeah.
So that was something that was really exciting for me. And I just remember your room was just really, really big. And we would have lots of great conversations in that room. um, I also enjoyed the moments of you playing the piano in your dining room, or living room. Maybe it was the living room area of your
Yeah.
house. But I recall those moments too, and that was always just special because your talent is special and it's
Oh,
beautiful. I really hope that you're still utilizing your gifts too.
I'm trying to find my way back. I'll put it that
Okay.
way. And part of this podcast is part of that, just finding my way back to some of the fun, creative things I love to do and used to do more of. So I
Yeah.
will I will accept the nudges from you and from others. I'll just say I'm finding my way back to all of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also remember a birthday party that you had, and it was, I think, maybe 16, maybe 18. I'm not sure. But what I recall about that birthday party is that you had so many friends there. It
Oh.
was like in a hall of some
Mhm.
sort. Do you remember what I'm
Yeah, it
talking
must have been 16. Yeah.
Oh, 16. Okay. But I remember thinking at the time, I said, wow. I mean, in my mind, you were my friend. And I was very territorial about you and our friendship. But when we went to that party, I just remember thinking, like, wow, look at all of these people that are here and
Oh,
everybody that she's had an impact on in her life. And like, they're her friends. And I really saw that you had real friendships, with during that party. And I just remember thinking that in my young mind at that time that you're such a great person that you were able to have all of these people there to support and celebrate you for your birthday.
well, thank you. I do feel extremely blessed, Tanny,
Hmm.
um, with really, really good friends. And it didn't just start this year or last year. I do feel like I've been blessed with really good friends since childhood, including you. But I am excited to tell you how you've all impacted me. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I invited you today to tell you some of the stuff that, I've told my husband some of these things over and over again for years. And I don't know, it was probably even a couple years ago. It wasn't recently. But he
Right.
said, "Did you ever tell Tanny how she impacted you?" And I said,
Oh,
I didn't. So let's do it. Let's do it today. Um, so, I specifically wanted to spend today's topic is fighting with your friends and forgiving your friends. Um,
yes,
do you have any idea why I wanted to discuss that topic with you?
I did. I actually knew
Okay.
exactly what incident when you told me the topic was on forgiveness, I immediately thought about that incident or this
Okay.
incident that you're probably about to share.
So,
Yes.
yeah, we had, I'll just say, a little situation about 20 years ago. We were both about to get married.
Yep.
And I really feel like the situation, which was completely my fault, could have ended our friendship, but it didn't. And
Mhm.
I credit you for that. So I just want to talk a little bit about it. There are always two sides to the story. I will tell my side first. You can correct me. You can correct me if I'm wrong, set the record straight. You're very good at doing that. But I'll tell my version. We were both about to get married. I don't remember. It was
Mhm.
probably April or May. I got married in May. You got married in June.
Right.
And I mean, we were young, like
Yeah.
23. I don't know what you had, but I didn't have a wedding planner and a bunch of money and
Right.
people doing all these things. So, I felt like I had done a decent job. And then I realized weeks before the wedding, we didn't have a videographer.
Hmm.
And I was sitting at work, and I was like, "Oh, shoot, we don't have a videographer." And again, back to your super talented family, all of you were invited. I knew you were coming to the wedding. Um, I thought of your dad, and I
Hmm.
sent you an email while I was at work that said, which is sketchy to begin with, like I was doing all this wedding stuff at work.
At work.
At work. Um, but I sent you an email that said, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something like, "Do you think your dad could do the video for my wedding?" I don't remember, but that was the gist of the email.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, and then you replied quickly and said, again, I don't remember exactly, so you can fill in the details.
Right. Right.
You replied pretty quickly and said, the video is actually a really big deal. It's unfortunate that you waited until the last minute. And
Did
I don't
I really say
You
that?
did. I mean, I don't remember what you said, but that was kind of the
Right.
message.
Right.
It wasn't rude, it wasn't anything. It was just very matter of fact, like, "The video is a really big deal. It's unfortunate you waited to the last minute. Um, I don't think my dad can do it." Or I don't know. I don't know what it was, but
Right.
whatever it was, I was just like, "Ah!" Like, I just felt frustrated. That's the best way I can describe it. I just felt
Right.
frustrated because I knew I'm not gonna find anyone to do the wedding.
Right.
So this is where things get real, real trifling on my part. So I then thought I was forwarding your email to my now husband,
Right.
Brian.
Right.
And in fact, I replied to you. And my email said something like, "This is what I'm talking about." I asked a simple question and I don't know what it said, but there was a lot of attitude in that email.
Right.
Because again, I thought I was sending it to my now husband,
Right.
but I sent it to you. And this was before email had the time feature where you could
Uh,
undo it within 10 seconds or
right.
something.
Right.
So I pushed send, and then I was like, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy." And I don't curse, but
Right.
I definitely think in sound effects from time to time. So the moment I realized I sent the message to you and not to Brian, I was kind of just like, "Oh, bleep." Like it was really it was not a good moment. And I couldn't respond the way I wanted to because I was at work again being
Right.
super busy as an employee and a friend. So, um And then I tried to send you a cleanup email like, "Hey, Tanny, could you just not open that email I sent you?" Which, of course, you're gonna open the email, right?
Right, right, right,
So you opened the email and then you replied to me like, "That's real messed up." And I don't remember what you said, but it was like, "That's really messed up." And I felt that in my spirit. That was
right,
really messed up. And I didn't try to make excuses or anything. I just asked if we could talk about it later.
right.
And thankfully, you agreed. Is everything accurate up to this point? Please tell me your
So,
version.
first of all, I did not remember the details like how you're remembering them. I actually thought it was a cell phone, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even think we were able to do all of
No,
that stuff with cell phones then.
no.
So, yeah, it makes sense that it was an email. I didn't remember that it was about my dad and a videographer. I do remember feeling like I was trying to give advice, and I
Yeah,
think I thought that I was doing a good job by like whatever it is that I said.
yeah.
But what I do remember is seeing your message to Brian, and it was what I remember is like, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. She gets on my nerves. And I remember just being so hurt. Like, I was
Yeah.
just trying to help. Like, I didn't realize that I came off that way. But yes, I do remember that. And I don't remember you sending a follow-up email, and I don't remember us having a conversation about it. But
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I didn't remember that.
Okay. Well, the conversation was the good part. That's what I want to talk about was the conversation.
Okay,
So you agreed to talk to me that night. And I just had to sit at work all day and know that I was going to talk to you that night. So
great.
I went home and I don't know if you called me or I called you, but we got on the phone and it was just like, "Hey, Sil." And I was like, that's this is not a "Hey, Seal" moment, right? But she was just like, "Hey, Seal." And I said, "Hey, Tanny." And it was just super awkward. I was like, "Yeah, about that email. Like, my bad. I'm sorry." And you were like, "Yeah, I was real surprised and real hurt when I got that email." But you were super calm, super chill.
Okay, okay.
And then you weren't. Then you just went like total West Philadelphia on me. Um, you definitely made it clear that my
Oh,
behavior was unacceptable and you were not going to take my behavior and how messed up of a person I was. But let me just say this, okay? I completely deserved it and I accepted it. Like
I
I
don't
accepted.
even remember that. This is hilarious because I don't remember that part at
Okay.
all.
So, I told you that what I did was true. You yelled at me a little bit, a lot, but yeah, you yelled at me. And then at the end of the conversation, you went right back to that super calm voice again, like nothing ever happened. And I wasn't sure what had just happened. I was like, "So are we good? Are we cool? Or is she still mad?" I don't know.
Right,
Because you
right.
were like super calm, then super angry, then super calm again. So we got off the phone. I thought everything was okay, or I didn't know for sure. But then a couple days later, we had my bridal shower, which
Yes.
was a surprise shower. I didn't know the shower was happening that day. But Tanny, I kid you not, when the door opened, sorry, I don't know why I feel choked up, but I do. Um, when the door opened, your face was the first one I saw. And I just thought I was so thankful for your friendship.
Mhm.
And it felt so good to know without a shadow of a doubt that you had forgiven me because you showed up. Like you just showed up and you were your happy, normal self just a few days after I did something super shady as a friend. And I've never thanked you for that. And I've never told you how that impacted me. But I learned a lot from that situation. For starters, I learned don't do shady things. Like, just don't be shady. And if you are shady, don't get caught. Like, just don't. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Don't. Just don't do
We
shady
all do shady things though,
I know,
Cecilia. Like we do.
we do. But try not to do shady
Right.
things. And then if you do something shady, be honest.
Hmm.
I think the only reason you were willing to talk to me that night was because I was honest. I was like,
Right.
yep, I was trying to send a message to Brian. I sent it to you instead.
Yeah.
And you just kind of accepted it as the truth. So, don't be shady, be honest. And then I learned like you're still going to have some consequences. The consequence for me was I had to listen to you yell at me maybe for 5 minutes. I mean, it was not an extended period of time.
Right. Right.
I earned whatever you said to me. I earned it by being shady. And then finally, I learned just how good it feels to be forgiven.
Yeah.
And that was just a really, I mean, we can laugh about it now, but at the time it didn't feel small. But it was a real situation that friends could have, and you forgave me in that moment. And I thank you for it because you taught me so much. Your little 23-year-old self educated me. You educated me real quick. So thank you. And I will say I don't always get it right still in life, but I do try. And I try to think about that situation and I try not to do stuff like that
Yeah.
frequently. Anyway.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you.
Well, you are welcome. And I mean, the only thing that I can think of, and I think you just hit it on the nail, is that I was able to forgive because you were honest. And I
Mm,
think that that's a big trait for me is respect and honesty.
yeah.
Um, and I believe that everybody should have a second chance. As an assistant principal, that's what I deal with discipline all day long and with middle schoolers. So that's one of the most challenging grades out of all of them, the most challenging level out of all of them, and because they're still trying to figure out who they are, they're trying to learn who they want to be and what they like, and all of those things that makes us a human being and makes us who we are today. But one thing that I always do with my students is make sure that I give them a second opportunity, because I never want them to say, "Oh, you just turned your back on me. You didn't even give me an opportunity to hear my side of the story or hear my story, at all." So I'm thinking in the way that I think that I was able to forgive you because you were honest, and I just want to say thank you for being honest about it. And I probably also realized like I was going through the same thing that you were going through, a big ball of frustration when you're trying to plan a wedding. And like you said, we were young. We didn't even know what we were doing. It didn't really have much money. So all of it was very overwhelming. And I know I share everything with Gordon too. So I think that's probably what I thought about as well. It wasn't like you were sharing it with another friend,
Mm,
or our mutual friend or something like that, like Orphea. I think that might have been a little bit different,
yeah.
but I think because you were sharing it with Brian, it was silly, and it was something that I could forgive you for.
Thank,
Yeah.
thank you. Well, I do thank you for forgiving me that day. And I actually wonder if you could find it in your heart to forgive me for one other thing.
Uh-oh.
I know. You might have to hear the story before you commit to forgiveness. Um,
Okay.
when we were kids, again, little, like third grade maybe, I
Uh-huh.
spent the night at your house.
Okay.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, you were not allowed to chew gum at your house or not allowed to. Is that true?
That sounds about right. Yes, yes, yes.
So
Our
you weren't
parents
allowed to
were.
chew gum, but for some reason I was chewing gum.
Uh-huh.
And it was bedtime and we were so little, like so young that we were sharing a twin bed. And I was on the side up against the wall and you were on the outside. And you fell I mean, this is so terrible, but you fell asleep immediately. You fell asleep immediately. And I was still chewing my gum, which I was not even supposed to have in your house. Okay? So I was then stuck with like, what do I do with the gum? I don't know. And as I'm telling this story, I'm thinking about how terrible I am. But I didn't know what to do with the gum. So I lifted up your bed covers, like your comforter.
OMG.
And I don't know if I stuck the gum on the wall or if I stuck it on your bed frame, but I did not put it in the trash can. Okay. I did not put it in the trash can. And I have been holding on to that story for years, and I owe you an apology. And I owe your parents an apology for disrespecting your furniture and
I
your
am
house.
cracking up right now.
And I owe my parents an apology for acting like I have no home training at sleepovers. Um, but I just wanted to tell you that story so I could have everything off my chest in our relationship. I hope you can forgive me, and I hope your family forgives me too.
I think we can forgive you. That's so funny. I really wonder where the gum is, like today.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was just like, what's worse, climbing over her and waking her up or sticking it here on the wall? And I chose to stick it there. So I'm sorry.
I forgive you, Cecilia. No problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I love you so much, Tanny. I honestly hope this is the beginning of us being able to spend more time together because
I
I
agree.
I miss that laugh. I miss that smile. I miss all of it, the family, just everything. So I promise you, or I will say, I will do my very best the next time I'm home to see you and to spend some more time together because I do miss you.
Oh, I miss you and I love you more than you know. I
I
do.
love you
I really
too.
do.
You too.